You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari and I'm so excited to be here with you today because we're talking about building a legacy. Now that could be anything. It could be building a family, a career, following your passion in so many different ways. So we're going to be talking about that. Of course, you can call in. That number is 800-333-0001. I'll be standing by taking your calls. Also, if you need resources on today's topic, we want to make sure that you're supported. Just go to connect@livingfullout.com and let us know what you need. Also, in our next segment, you want to stay tuned. We're going to have Nick Novicki on the show. At the height of 3'10", he was born with dwarfism. But boy, has he gone on to build a legacy in being an actor, a comedian, and working with Easter Seals to help support those with disabilities. So stay tuned to hear about that. And if you have an inspirational story, if you'd like to be a guest on our show, again, we'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Just let us know what you've gone through. It may be a tragedy, a crisis, a disability, something that you've learned in life and how you've evolved. It's all about sharing that with our community so that we can all grow and build our legacies together. And when we think about the course of the show and this topic, just really hone in on what would bring you the most joy. When you close your eyes at night and you dream big, what does that look like? And let's think together, what are those action steps that you may need to put into play to get you to where you want to go? Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. How can we help you today?
Hi. Okay, so my boyfriend and I have very different communication styles, and I've mentioned this to him before to try to improve it. However, it doesn't seem like it's working. So I'm just wondering if you have any suggestions on what I can do and what he can do to improve that.
That is such a great question. And whether it's a romantic relationship, a business partner, even family, right? Everybody's going to have different styles. The main key ingredient is love, right? If you have that, if you have love and appreciation for the other person, that is the first place to start. But then loving somebody means that you find the method that best works for them. And sometimes that can be tricky, especially in a romantic situation, because you might want to sit down and talk and really confess your feelings or really get your point out there. But to him, that might just sound like noise, nagging. Who knows, right? So you want to think about when he has reached out to you in the past, what has been his primary form of communication? Is he somebody that generally texts you when he's feeling upset or concerned or has a question? Is he somebody that emails where he kind of like gets it all out there in the black and white and sends it to you that way? Is he, and if it's verbal, is it more face-to-face that he likes or by phone? Because some people feel more comfortable kind of hiding a little bit behind a phone. They're not distracted by staring at the person. Where other people really like that face-to-face. They want to see that reaction. What do you think his primary form is?
I think it's through phone. We do talk on the phone more often.
Okay. And what is yours?
Mine is a phone as well, but I think communication style as in I talk more about my feelings, but he's more focused on solving the problem, and he doesn't really get how I feel, I think.
Got it. So you know what you might want to ask him to do, and you're not going to sound like a therapist when you say this, but you want to say to him, it would really help me and validate my thoughts if you could just paraphrase back to me, what do you think I said? How do you think I feel? And if he says it back to you pretty much exactly how you said it, then he gets it. then it's his choice to act, to acknowledge it, to take action on it or not, because it is still a choice, right? When we say something, if somebody chooses to get it or not get it, but at the same time, if you say something and you tell him how you feel, and then you ask him to tell you it back or paraphrase it back to you, and he says it completely different or not on point, then you can say, oh, I see. So you just don't get it. You know what I mean? Then you got to try to say it another way. But you got to have...
that makes sense.
Do you see what I'm saying? So you want to have that check-in where he tells you back what he thinks he heard, and then that will allow you to know, does he really get it or does he not get it? And then you want to, try to say it maybe in a different way. Or you might even try to pick a time in his life that you may know of where he maybe felt the same way. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So if you do that and try that, I think it's going to open up a lot of dialogue. And again, that last example I gave you, where you try to find an example in his life where it's somewhat relatable to how you're feeling, maybe he'll connect easier that way too, if you could try that.
Okay, I'll try that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for calling in, and we'll be thinking of you. Okay?
All right, thank you, Nancy.
You got it. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
I really appreciate that she asked that question, right? Because it's so important that we are able to communicate our dreams, our fears, our concerns. So she's right on point with that question. Now I'm getting word from our producer that we have another caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy. My name is Maria.
Hi there. How can we help you?
Hi. I'm calling because I have a problem, a huge problem.
Yep.
Okay. I live at Foothill Mobile Home Park over in Lakeview Terrace, and the manager there, her name is Cecilia Reyna. Well, she put it out at the yearly meeting that some of us needed to paint our mobile homes because they were deteriorating. I was one of them. So I put a little bit of money together, and then I called her because she said we needed to stop by and pick colors. And she told me, no need to stop by, just do pastels. I said, pastels? Are you sure? She said, yes, pastels. So then I went out and got whatever I needed to get. And then still my two girls took the swatches to her office the day after Thanksgiving. And she was off that day on a Friday, and she approved the swatches verbally. So then we commenced to painting on Friday. That day she approved it, and we painted the whole house lavender. She passes by. She says, what did you do? I said, you said pastel. And she says, oh, my God, they're going to fire me. I said, don't worry. Oh, no, I know they're going to fire me. I said, you know what? Just calm down. We'll work it out. So by the time I know it, she turned everything around, and now it's at her attorney's.
You know what, Maria? I'm going to stop you only because I got the essence of where you are, and we only have a few minutes here. Right. I want to make sure I give you the coaching, okay? So here's the thing. When it comes to anything business related, mobile home park, real estate related, you always want to get it in writing. Sadly, verbal is not what it used to be, okay? And while I personally love purple and the color lavender, it's just kind of one of those things where you can't go back in time. And I'm so sorry that it's at this point where attorneys are involved. But what you really want to do is try to get as many things going forward in writing as you can. And you're going to have to put on kind of the devil's advocate hat here when you go in, because I can tell that you're very emotionally involved, which I would be too if I spent that money and actually spent the time painting. I get it completely. Yeah. But so you're emotionally and physically. I know, but here's the thing. You kind of have to put devil's advocate hat on, because you have to look at both sides. And you want to look at, anything HOA related, anything you signed, any paperwork, any minutes. You kind of have to become an investigator and an attorney of your own right, and just see where maybe something was amiss. But I'm going to wish you well. We have to unfortunately go to a break, or I would definitely chat with you more about this. But like I said, just do your best to get things in writing.
I needed to do an earth tone.
Okay. Well, I love earth tone too, so it's a good thing. So thank you very much, Maria, for calling in. I appreciate it. And for everybody listening, she brings up a really great point because, we do need to think about the big picture. And so she's a perfect example of what that is, especially when we're looking to build a legacy in our life. Who's involved? How does that impact other people besides ourselves? Kind of considering our own actions and how, like a domino effect, it touches others. We're going to be coming right back with Nick Novicki, our inspirational guest for today. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm gonna return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then?
And then nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite. Look out! And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and we're so excited to have you here today because we're talking about building a legacy. And how do you do that? Where do you even begin? Well, our inspirational guest today, Nick Novicki, he did just that. But he really had to start from the beginning, being born with dwarfism, but not letting that hold him back. He has gone on to be an actor, a comedian, and really has made great headway with the Easter Seals, which he'll talk about as well, with a challenge for people with disabilities. So I'd very much like to welcome Nick to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Now, Nick, I know you're 3'10", but boy, do you have a big voice. Oh my gosh. I just want everybody to know that Nick is a powerhouse, and that started actually from a pretty young age. I want to take our audience, back to when your family started to recognize around 2, that you had a few health challenges. Can you share with us about that time?
Yeah, so it's actually an unusual start. Typically, 80% of people with dwarfism have achondroplasia, and they know right away that, hey, this child has achondroplasia. It's a form of dwarfism. With me, I have pseudoachondroplasia dwarfism, which is a rare form, and it's not detectable until you get to be about 2 years old. So I was growing at a regular rate. I was actually taller and weighed more than my brothers. And then at about 2 years old, we went to the doctor's office, my mom and the doctor was like, wait a minute, I think he shrank. And I didn't really shrink, but what had happened is that my spine started to curve because of scoliosis and the way that my hips sort of bowed out. So, at first they were kind of like, what is going on? I mean, they had no idea. So they were doing all kinds of tests. They wondered if it was a kidney problem. They were trying to figure out anything they could because, again, this is before Google. This is the 80s. So no one knew what to do. And eventually my mom ended up watching the show, the Phil Donahue show, and they had little people on. So she said, well, maybe he's a little person. And so they tested and found out I'm pseudoachondroplastic dwarf.
Wow. Go Phil Donahue for putting that out there. Yay. Because that sometimes that's how you learn, whether it's, Phil Donahue's show, this show, or, just being educated. Now, I know that when you were around 3 years old, though, you personally started to recognize that you were different than other children your age. What was that experience?
Yeah, so I guess my first real memory in general, I was at a Burger King playground, and I'm just playing like the other kids. And I remember a kid was sort of like, I think he pushed me, and he was like, you're too short to be in here, you're a shrimp. And, I got kind of sad about it, and I went over to my mom, and I was like, I told her what happened, but as I was telling her, I was kind of like, look, it does hurt, but it doesn't hurt sort of like I got cut. It just hurts like, it's going to go away. So I think at that moment I sort of realized that it's like, what, just let it roll off, Who cares?
Well, and that's so fascinating, Nick, because that's really when you started to find your voice. Here you were comforting your mom. It's going to be okay. I'm going to be fine, And that's a lot of insight for a 3-year-old. Now, as you journeyed along, you had numerous surgeries that you had to go through, mainly starting around 11 years old. But what were the surgeries for? Why did you have to have them?
Yeah, so I've had over 100 hours of surgery, complete reconstructive surgery on my hips, ankles, knees, and pelvis. Prior to my first sets of surgeries when I was 11, I couldn't stand for longer than like 10 seconds without being in pain. Or really just even while I was in pain, I was always in pain. I just couldn't stand longer than that. So what they did is they reconstructed my legs. They broke them so they would be straightened out and, aligned me so that I could walk. But even prior to that, I was still playing sports, believe it or not. I'd be playing baseball, and I'd kind of like sit down as I went to first base along the way, and I just decided I was going to do everything else.
The way that your feet were naturally is they pointed out, so you kind of waddled a bit rather than strutting, and the surgery helped to make them go forward.
I like to consider myself a bit of a penguin to date, but no, I waddled a lot. So basically, what happened is because the way my hips were aligned, my legs bowed out, so they were really like far. My back was curved at a really large angle, and my hips were really, really curved out. So that bowed my legs, and it made it look like I was walking sort of on like a 90-degree angle.
Now, these surgeries had you literally in a body cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically what had to happen is because of the fact that, so the way it works is it was a month of surgeries broken up into 3 different sets. 4 actually sets. One of the times that I did it when I was 16. 14 hours each surgery, and then there'd be a week, and you'd recover, do the other set. So it was a month of surgeries, and then you had to be in a body cast for 6 months, and then there maybe 6 to 8 months, depending on what sets of surgeries you had, and then it was another 6 months of learning how to walk.
Isn't it amazing how we take for granted walking, right? It's just to have to learn that over again. And during that time, I imagine you were homeschooled at the hospital or at home.
Yeah, I was homeschooled, but I tried to live as much of a normal life as I could. And really, I give a lot of credit to my parents and the way they kind of were like, look, let's just have fun, have your friends come over. We had a wheelchair that reclined, so I even went to the movies, and I remember one time kind of rolling up to a kid in my lay-down wheelchair, and I'm like, what, you've never seen a little person in a full body cast at Shrek before? And I just kind of rolled up to him. And then
I love that. You in times like that, you have to have humor, and that is actually one of the things that we'll talk about throughout your story here, because that humor side, it's really what got you through. And even at that early age of 3 years old, you adopted humor as a way of kind of standing tall with the other kids.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I learned pretty early on. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. It's kind of got that East Coast, a little bit of tough guy kind of vibe for people. And I learned pretty early on that, hey, you're 3'10" when you get fully grown, and you're going to be a lot shorter than everybody else. So you better be good at making the room laugh, if you want to get out of the situation.
And that you do, Nick, and that you do. Now, I want you to stay with us because we are going to go to commercial break, and we have so many more things to say about your story and just kind of where you are today. So hang in there with us. And everybody, we are talking today to Nick Novicki, and we're talking about building a legacy. So as we hear his story, I want you to think about, what are you shooting for in your life? How can you make the biggest difference to others? And then let's get you there. Let's find out what that path is. Stay with us. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show, and we'll be coming right back after this break. It's all about living your life full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show. I am excited to let you know that we are now associated with Alexa. If you have Alexa in your house and you didn't know that, go ahead and find Living Full Out because you can hear us anytime you want, and we're there for you to keep you motivated. Go to your app store because we're located there as well. Just look for the Living Full Out radio show. It's important to us that we put out really inspiring programming, but we want to make sure that you have it at your fingertips when you need us most. We never know when those challenges are going to come, when we're going to feel lonely and need that motivation. So just know that when you need us, we're here for you. Check out Alexa, the app stores, or go to livingfullout.com. Here's to you living full out.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait, communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about building a legacy in your life and how to get started, how to do that. Now, our inspirational guest today is a perfect example of living full out, okay? Nick Novicki, okay? He was born with a rare form of dwarfism, but yet he went on to thrive. He has been on The Sopranos, Saturday Night Live, Boardwalk Empire, you name it. Yet he's got a super large heart and has also teamed up with Easter Seals to support those with disabilities, and we'll get to that as well. So I'd like to welcome Nick back to the show.
Hey.
Hey there. Okay. So Nick, we just talked about in the last segment about the surgeries you had when you were 11, and I know that when you were a teenager, you had to have another set of those same surgeries just to kind of reset everything. But you always had that comedic side of you. You always kind of watched and learned and had empathy for other people. But it was when you were in the hospital that second time around that you really started to have your eyes wide open to all the different types of disabilities and reasons for why people were in the hospital. Can you share with us about that?
Sure. So as you said, when I was 16, I had to go through the same process again. And I think that was pretty hard, going in, knowing I would have to have the same sets of surgeries and the body cast. And really, it was a life-changing experience for me because I went in, I had the surgeries, and I saw all these other people with disabilities. There was a 5-year-old kid who had 100 surgeries, and the kid couldn't stop smiling. He had no arms. He's, was just in pain all the time, constant surgeries. And really, part of me was like, look, who knows what you're going to have? You got to be able to appreciate life. I mean, the kid's name was Timmy, and he had just this love of life. And between him and all these other people I met, it really motivated me and made me feel a need to succeed and to help others.
And, it's sad that you had to go through that second round of surgeries, but what a great life lesson to get as a teenager, to be able to see that and experience it and evolve it into where you are today. Now, I know that you went on to graduate. You actually went to college. But there was a time in your life where you kind of lived a little bit of a double life. Can you share with us about that?
Yeah, well, definitely. I went to business school, so I got a scholarship to Temple University's Fox School of Business, and I graduated with honors. But really, the first week of school, I started doing stand-up comedy. And really, my background in stand-up, I started doing motivational speaking and talks to raise money for Little People of America when I was 11 years old. And so, I would open up being like, hey, who forgot the stool, if I was behind a podium. And really, I realized, so while I was at school, I was in business school and doing stand-up at the same time. And when I graduated, I decided, I'm going to just follow my dreams and pursue just stand-up and acting as opposed to the business world. And, I got lucky and that I was on Sopranos pretty early on. But almost immediately I realized that I had to produce my own content. I'm 3'10". If I want to play the gangster, the romantic lead, I had to produce my own content. I had to write and shoot and direct and star in my own projects because no one was going to write the roles that I wanted to play better than me.
Well, and I love that. And today we're talking about building a legacy in our lives, and that could be a family, that could be a career. But in your case, you wanted to make a name for yourself, but also you wanted to create roles for people, little people, but people with disabilities of all kinds. And so this was kind of a movement that you were starting. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. No, well, really, for me, to be honest, it just started out where I wanted to, make my own content and my own art, the kind of art that I wanted to be a part of. And, it led to a lot of work for me. And I'm pretty lucky. I've been in 50 TV shows and movies, worked with Martin Scorsese. I've worked with a lot of these, the Farley brothers, the top people in the business. But what always helped me is that when I was in these situations, one, I had more experience than a lot of other people with disabilities because I was always creating my own content, web series, feature films, producing. And, I would make myself the lead, as I said, and really in these three-dimensional roles. So really it wasn't until about 6 years ago because I started doing all these panels and, speeches, representing the disability community. And I looked around and the numbers are what they are. 25% of the population has a disability, according to a new study by the CDC. But yet we're only seen in less than 3% of film and TV shows. And, these numbers, they just haven't changed. It's been years and years. So 6 years ago, I created this Disability Film Challenge, a weekend film competition where over the course of a weekend, participants write, shoot, edit, and submit a 3 to 5 minute film that has somebody with a disability in front of or behind the camera. And over the course of a weekend, they make a film, and it really is about building teamwork and making films and lasting careers. And 2 years ago, I partnered with Easter Seals. Now, Easter Seals is the nation's largest disability services organization. And I am proud that I'm a board member, actually, of Easter Seals Southern California. Easter Seals is celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. And so having them on board, this challenge really took off. We had films from 12 countries last year. People are working in front of and behind the camera all over the place. I'm just so proud of everyone that's been a part of the challenge.
Well, and really good for you to build that legacy for other people too, because now they can look back and they can find their purpose, whether it be in the production of behind the camera or, live that dream of acting out in front of the camera, and you've given them that opportunity. And, even for myself being legally blind, I hear you. Sometimes with a disability, you have to make your own way. You have to kind of make that magic happen, find that secret sauce. But when you do, that's how you can step into being that unique individual that you are. And do you ever think about sometimes?
I think even for you, I mean, you're a prime example, as somebody who's blind. You didn't wait for, Johnny Carson to hand over the Tonight Show to you. You made your own show, and you're sharing all these stories. And I think we both have a similar mindset, not to compliment us both at the same time. But, no, I mean, I think it's important. When you're different, you have to create your own path. And I think in general, when you see people that succeed, a lot of times it's them kind of saying, here's a problem and how can we, fix what we'd like to see different. And I'm really so proud of the success stories. We had a little person, woman last year who entered the challenge, and the Farley brothers, Peter Farley, who directed Green Book, which is just won the Golden Globes, he served as a mentor for the 2015 Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. And he actually asked, he said, Nick, I got a role for a little person woman. Do you have any ideas? So he auditioned every little person woman that had entered the film challenge, and this led to a major recurring role for her. And I mean, there's just countless success stories that people could check out if they go to disabilityfilmchallenge.com.
I love that you shared that story. And I'm just curious, Nick, because our audience has a lot of different people dealing with a variety of challenges in it. But if a parent or an aunt or an uncle or somebody is listening today where their child is disabled and they're concerned about their future, what will become of them, right? I mean, you and I have made it to the other side. But what advice would you give that parent to give that kid that extra?
I would say, so whatever parent is listening, if you have a child with a disability, you treat your child the same as you treat your other kids. Okay, you say, look, I believe in you. Sure, if you have to make a couple of modifications at school, that's fine. I mean, that could be helpful. But in the end, just give them the confidence to let them open up their wings and fly. Because in the end, I mean, we all have the same talent, the same drive. And I think when you have a disability, and a lot of times, I think we have more drive. There's more reason for us to succeed. So don't hold them back, and I would say don't hover too much.
Love that.
People succeed and let them go out on their own. And a lot of times what we're able to see with the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, sure, we actually had, Marcia Gay Harden, an Academy Award-winning actress, act in one of the films. So we are getting a lot of really big people and, people with disabilities that have been acting or writing or directing for a long time. But we're also getting first-time writers and actors and producers, and we're getting a lot of families that say, you know what, I have a 10-year-old son with autism, or I have a 9-year-old daughter with Down syndrome, and you know what, why don't we do a family project, include Amy or Mike in this short film, and really let's get them out there in the community, because we're seeing time and time that the whole community are really getting behind these films all over the country.
You know what?
Success stories.
Oh, well, I was going to say, we only have a few minutes left. So all of those are such great examples. And I encourage everybody to definitely check it out. We only have a couple minutes left. And I just really want to ask you, because I told the audience early on, you are such a perfect example of what it means to live full out because of your tenacity, your passion, your heart, your empathy. But what does living full out mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think living full out to me, it's just not leaving anything behind. I think when I wake up, if I'm passionate about something, I'm gonna focus on that until I go to bed. So, I'm not the type of person that's not gonna call you back. If I really want something done, or I really believe in something, as my wife will attest to, and those around me, I'm gonna try as hard as I can. behind you. I fail too. I'm not, killing it all the time, but I try as hard as I can. So
wow,
I feel
Nick,
like I'm living full out. That's my motto.
And yes, you are. Thank you so much for being on the show today. It's just been a pleasure to have you in so many ways, and you have many friends here at Living Full Out, so we appreciate you sharing your story, and we just wish you a great day.
Oh, thank you, and I appreciate you and what you do for the community.
Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you. And for everybody who heard Nick's story, think about in your life, what is that legacy that you want to build? It could be, a challenge just like Nick created with Easter seals. It could be building a really beautiful, healthy family. It could be starting a business. It could be, donating your time, assisting to help others live their dream. It is never too late to turn that page and just give, love big. That's what it means to live full out. So we're going to be coming right back after this, taking more of your calls. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're gonna jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? I'm Andrew Hoffman. I invented the Lost Cat Magnet. Just turn it on and lost cats stick to it. Just listen to Unsatisfied Cat. That's proof. You should invent stuff too. But remember, don't do a Lost Cat Magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care, people, for goodness sake.
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
When you consider building a legacy in your life, dream big. Close your eyes. Think about what would fulfill your passions, what would bring you joy. And look and consider who are the people standing beside you as you're living that dream. It takes time, it takes patience, but building that legacy can be done as you live your life full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about building a legacy. But sometimes in order to get there, we have to kind of push aside our negative thoughts, what people's expectations are for who we should be, and really zoom in on what makes us happy. Who are we at the core? That's got to be the lead as you step forward in life and really achieve living life full out. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hi, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
Okay, it's a little bit scratchy where you are. You sound like you're in the wind. But what's going on today? How can we help you?
I've been recently going through a breakup.
Uh-huh.
And I was just wondering, how can I continue to go on with my daily activities without feeling sad?
Well, first of all, I'm so sorry that you're going through a breakup. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have my producer just mute your line for a sec, just so I can give you this advice so you can actually hear it. But the thing is breakups are really tough. They're emotionally challenging. A lot of times they can make us feel small. They can make us doubt, our worthiness or what we can have in the future. But what you want to consider is, in this dynamic of this relationship that you are in and the fact that it just ended, you want to look at what responsibility did you have for ending. And sometimes that's a hard thing to look at because you want to look at it constructively, not in a way that you're putting yourself down. I've had to do the same thing. Sometimes I've put work ahead of a relationship. Not all the time, but I've done it. Sometimes, I was more invested in my family or being busy and traveling when I wish I had put more time into it. Or sometimes I didn't think about the family side of who Nancy wanted to be in the future. I put career first. So in my life, I reflected and thought about, what did I do in relationships to maybe make it or enable it not to work out? So you want to think about that. But when I say think about it constructively, it's because it's not about putting yourself down. It's not about saying it was your fault. It's about looking at, in a purposeful way, how could you get better? How can you become a better version of yourself in your next relationship? At the same time, in a breakup, it's really important to ask the other person, if you can, what they could have done differently. Because again, a lot of times we will harbor this burden of, what did I do wrong, or I should have been better. But sometimes we were just great. I know in my life I've checked in with, past exes, and they said, no, you really inspired me, or you were right beside me. And sometimes hearing those positives are also what you need in a breakup. So I really hope that you will be able to find that clarity. I really thank you for calling in, and we'll be thinking about you and wishing you great thoughts going into the future here, okay, with future relationships. And I really appreciate that caller asked that question, because today we're talking about building a legacy. Well, a legacy can be a relationship. So how can we build a strong relationship? I admire couples that have been married for years, right? It's not because it was perfect. They had their highs and lows, but they weathered the storm together. When they were in conflict, they found a way to resolve it. And that's true for business partnerships. That's true for siblings, right? There's always going to be times where we're not going to be treated the way that we want, or we're going to be kind of at a conflict in the way that we disagree on a topic. But when you build a legacy, you have to put all of that junk, all of those negative thoughts aside. And you want to look at what is the purpose that you want to have for your life? What is the shared purpose that you can have with others? So again, look at your family. What is that legacy that your family would like to leave behind? Maybe that's traditional memories or events that you do each year together. Maybe that's having a business where you might be a solopreneur doing it yourself, or you might have employees or teams that support you, and really relishing and enjoying that, knowing that nobody gets to the mountain alone and says, yeah, I made it, and they're just one voice. No, you want to get to that top of the mountain and have others there with you. So when you're building this legacy, whatever it is, you want to consider, who do you need beside you to make that happen? What are the action steps? What resources might you need? Consider that goal that you have for yourself. Take it to the internet. Google others that have achieved it too. Look at their bios. Go to LinkedIn. See how they got there and see if you can follow a similar path. I believe that anything is possible. If you put your mind to it, if you let your passion be the lead, it can happen. But just make sure that when you're having those moments where you feel defeated, where negative thoughts creep in, tell them they have no place in your life. Get out of my mind, right? Because to live full out means that you do have energy, a positive outlook, and that you're optimistic. So our entire Living Full Out family wishes you all well. Maximize that potential in your life today. Go build that legacy. Live full out. We will see you next week. Here's to all of you living full out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.